Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Star vs. the Forces of Evil review. In this episode, we're taking a look at Season 1, Episodes 13 and 14, Lobster Claws and Sleep Spell. One of these episodes I think is fine. I think it's a fine episode. The other one is not, but the thing these two episodes have in common is that they're both filler. They're both filler episodes that really don't do much. Now, filler can be good. I feel like filler gets a bad rap a lot of the time because, nothing really happens in filler. It's not advancing any greater story, it's filler. But I don't think that's entirely true. I think filler can be useful. It can be used to foreshadow stuff, and it can be used to develop characters. And both these episodes do, the first one, they do foreshadow stuff, and Sleep Spell does character, but we'll get into that. Let's start off with Lobster Claws. Lobster Claws is bad filler. It's not a good episode, right? It's inherently not that great of an episode. And on the filler front, it just doesn't do enough. It has two moments that can be considered like big foreshadowing things, but it's just not strong enough, and the episode that supports it just isn't that good. It starts off with a fight scene where they capture Star and Lobster Claws goes to steal the wand but fucks up. Oh, oops. But, he gets fired for being incompetent, and now he's out of a job and he's crying behind the house. And Marco's like, oh, let's teach him how to be a good guy, right? Monsters can be good people. And Star's like, no, monsters are monsters. They're bad guys. They're inherently bad. It's the two ideologies, and this is setting up the greater show. This is the foreshadowing I'm talking about. Because interestingly enough, between the two episodes, this episode foreshadows the greater show, like the entirety of the show, which is, again, it's not something you notice the first time, but it's something you notice in hindsight. Even though I can think of two episodes that do this, and of the two episodes that do this, it is by far the weaker one. But they're going around trying to teach Lobster Claws to do good, and of course he's a monster. He just keeps fucking it up. Oops. He eats a kitty at some point, he eats a little girl, and just nothing's going right. He goes into and tries to save a baby. It's a grand piano. That's stupid. The only good joke in the episode is when he's like, oh, go help the old lady cross the street. It cuts away, and then it cuts back, and the entire town's on fire. That's the one good joke in the episode. It's super obvious, but it's the only good joke this thing has going for it. Then Star and Lobster Claws devise a plan to get Lobster Claws' job back. So they trick Ludo into coming. They have a fake fight scene. It's every fake fight scene ever. I might as well say this episode has been done to death. Every other show has done this episode, right? Where the villain's henchman leaves and now they try to get him his job back, or he tries to be good. This happens all the time. I can't think of a specific example off the top of my head, but trust me, it does happen. But Lobster Claws obeys Ludo and steals the wand, and it changes shapes when he gets it, and it starts to corrupt him and turn him evil. Whether that's because he's a monster, I think that they're saying it's because he's a monster, right? That monster, it will inherently turn the wand evil. But then as Star's trying to coax him back over to her side that, oh, you can be good, you're more than just a monster, it turns into a nicer wand. It's really weird. It is hinting that there is something greater going on with the wand that I don't think they address again for a while. But it's at least hinting at it. It's the only interesting thing actually going on in the episode, because the foreshadowing is just kind of foreshadowing, because at the end, Star gets the wand back, and then she's like, oh, Lobster Claws, maybe monsters can be good, which, again, foreshadowing stuff. But it's not interesting, it's just part of the episode. It's not foreshadowing if you don't know about it. This is more obvious foreshadowing, right? Lobster Claws actually getting the wand, and Ludo is impressed that Lobster Claws held it, so now he's back on the side, right? Yay, everything's good, status quo is God, yay. It's just not a good episode. That's what that's what's been struggled me to get this to review this episode for like a week now. Because I've had everything ready. It's just so boring. It's not a good episode. Sleep Spell, on the other hand, is okay. It's not a great episode by any means. It's just okay. And as a filler episode, it is good filler. It at least gets some of the more aspects right. It focuses more on the characters. It does have some foreshadowing in there. The foreshadowing is very centric to the season, which I think is more interesting. Season foreshadowing works better than grand story foreshadowing. Plus, it also feels more dialed down, per se. But it starts off in the house. The house has become a jungle. And oh, Star obviously did this. But no, she says she didn't. We learn that night that she's spelling in her sleep and she's trying to kill Marco. It's a dream plot. No, I'm surprised they didn't go into her dreams. If there was more magic in this world, they definitely would have. But Marco decides to psychoanalyze her, which, okay, that's actually that's a nice way to take on it. You don't really see psychoanalysis in a kids show this directly. Usually, again, they'll go into someone's dream. And this episode is also funny. I might as well point that out. Not as funny as Cheer Up Star, right? Which which is probably the closest comparison to this is probably Cheer Up Star, which was funnier. But we see her be Marco, and she nails it. It's great. She paints a painting of her childhood, and there's kind of this common theme. She looks at ink blots, or it's. I'm just gonna call it an ink blot. I think it has another name. I don't care. Don't at me. And the one single dot reminds her of her mother, who's overbearing, which is, that's also interesting, because in most episodes like this, they'd find out the mother is overbearing and then immediately try to find a way to address it, right? But they don't do anything with it. They just set it up and leave it unresolved. While that can definitely be taken as a negative against the episode, and I don't blame anyone for doing it, overall, I think it's fine, because it's setting up something in the future. And at the moment, they do think it is resolved. And then she spells that night, and then they find out that there's this monster princess, something like, I think she's called Monster Princess, who's attacking her, and this is the problem with the episode. This is what takes it from being a good episode to just an okay episode. The Monster Princess is super annoying. This is, I mean, it's probably on like a Patrick level annoying, and not like early SpongeBob Patrick. I'm talking like later SpongeBob Patrick. She's just super annoying. Her voice is annoying. Her plan is to steal Star's face for some reason. We get a Scooby-Doo style chase scene. It's whatever. And then Marco psychoanalyzes her and tells her, listen to your heart, right? Do what your heart tells you. And she's still a monster, so of course she's still gonna do evil stuff. But they end up stopping her, and she gets captured and goes back to Princess Jail. There's some foreshadowing. This is like the third time we've set up Princess Jail. It's all, you see, this is what I'm talking about, season foreshadowing. This is how you do it. Which, by saying it's foreshadowing, I'm giving it away. I might as well add. And then our ending scene is, throughout the entire episode, Marco's been keeping a list of how many times he's saved Star and how many times Stars have saved him. Another cliche instance, I don't really care for it. But at the end, Star kind of psychoanalyzes him, and it's just a cute little character development scene. Because this entire episode is focused mainly on Star's character development, but this last scene gives it to Marco, and that's what filler should be. While it doesn't exceed the greater plot, which this one, I mean, it hints at it. Filler should be focused on character development, which is something Lobster Claws lacked, because after this episode, we will never see Lobster Claws again. He may show up in the background once or twice, but he'll never have, like, a minor role even. It's just another reason Lobster Claws doesn't work. But yeah, overall, Lobster Claws is just, I don't care. It's not a good episode, and I don't like it. Sleep Spell is okay. It's better than I was expecting, but then again, I have low expectations for everything in the first season. Give or take like 4 episodes. Next time, I think it's Blood Moon Ball, which Oh, I haven't seen this one in years. I'm worried. I'll say that. It'll probably be good, but I'm worried. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.